like the pine trees lining the winding road.
Former President
I got
Barack
a
Obama
name.
sitting right next to
I got a
President-elect
name.
Donald Trump. Of course, we don't know what
Like
they're
the
saying.
singing bird and the croaking toad. I got a name. I got a name. And I carry it with me like my daddy did. But I'm living the dream that he gave me. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Like a north wind whistling down the sky. I got a song. I got a song. Like the whippoorwill and the babies cry. I got a song. I got a song. And I carry it with me and I sing it loud. If it gets me nowhere, I hold it proud. Moving me down the highway, rolling me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by.
You are seeing there.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am Colin, your host, Project Constitution. Today we have with us Phantom Society, also goes by Phantom Fact Society, and at I Stand for Trump is supposed to join us here in a little bit. He also goes by Dark MAGA. If you are a patriot like us, you're going to like our show. This is the Talking Heads podcast. This is the initial podcast here. And by the way, neither one of us are really monetized, making money on this. So if you like what we do and you want to donate, I have my links pinned in the chat of my stream, and he'll tell you where you can donate to him.
Hey, I'm just out here talking about truth as I see it. So if someone wants to, they can always DM me and we can figure out from there. But it might not be a bad idea to have that on hand for future use.
Yeah, you should at least put your links in there like I did.
Project, thank you so much for having me on the initial the premiere episode of Talking Heads. So thank you. I feel very honored to be invited.
Well, I'm honored to have you here, man.
So
we got a good show for you today, guys.
Yes, no, there is so much going on right now, project, that, and there is an air of, there is a fog amongst people, a quiet sense of disbelief that, is Trump really going to make it to inauguration, and is he going to get sworn in? Or is something diabolical going to happen that will shift this nation into some horrible hellscape from 1984? I mean, that's the feeling I'm getting as I go through all these different media accounts, social media apps, on the news. How are you? Are you getting the same feeling about this inauguration, Project?
Absolutely. In particular, I think all of us, MAGA conservatives, we've all had that gut feeling like, what are they planning? What's going on? What are they going to try? Because, they've spent years attacking him, everything they can do to try to not only detract him, but to, like Trump said, they're coming after us. He's just in their way. So they're doing everything they can to destroy this country, but
Well,
Trump's in the way, and they're we all have that fear that they're going to try something, and this is pretty much the last shot before he would become president.
now is this how Democrats felt in 2021 when Biden was just days away from being inaugurated? I mean, I lived in Colorado at that time, and I'm an electrician by trade, and I worked in a lot of people's houses, and I sort of got the same sense, but it was more of a snotty version of what I'm feeling. I'm just going through this. But it's just it does feel sort of similar where like I see a million different conspiracies being thrown out there, and you wonder, are they data dumping as much so that they can hide the truth within it, or is this just to get people on edge?
Well, I try to look at everything with a skeptical mind, but also, I keep an open mind as well. I try to look at the facts. And one of the things that really scares me is that I did an article today, actually. Let me see. I'll go ahead and pull that up.
Yeah, no, why you...
But
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just going to play buffer man, as you're pulling up the article, fill it in with little jovial humor as you're scrolling through your X to find the article, and then, present it in a seamless fashion as if we were to arrive here on cue. But like I said, this is my first time. So, I feel like the timing might be a little bit off. Oh, there we go. There you go. Look at that. That's beautiful. We want to go here, or do we want to go there? I think we go there. All right, what we got going on? Oh, I saw this.
Make it bigger.
First of all, if you are not subscribed to Project Constitution's articles, they are so well done and well researched, and actually give you food for thought as you're going paragraph by paragraph, that by the time you reach the end of it, you're sort of wanting more. So you have to go to X and subscribe to Project Constitution. But yeah, this article right here, I agree with you with this, even with this title. It's just, it does feel like we're being left out of the loop, right?
Absolutely. I think there is a credible threat. And I think Trump knows there's a credible threat. And that is why a couple things that have happened. For one, them switching the venue from outdoors to indoors. That, they say potentially because of the cold, but I personally think that it's because of a threat, or, some kind of intelligence they have that there might be a threat. What do you think?
Well, I've seen that blasted all over mainstream media. I've seen it fact checked by Snopes, which makes my gut feeling say that you're absolutely right. Now, I did look up the weather. Listen to the weather in DC. All right. Saturday, 44 degrees, wet and snowy. Right. So nice and sloshy. Sunday, 38 degrees, straight snow. Right. And then Monday, nice and sunny and 25 degrees. Now, I feel like there's been inaugurations where it's been 25 degrees or colder. So I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and I'd probably have to go to Grok and find out what the coldest inauguration was. But it makes me feel a little bit better that it's inside, because I was like, what the heck are they doing having it outside? I mean, there's been how many assassination attempts have they claimed now? Like 6 planned out.
There's been a bunch of them, and that's just the ones we know of.
Right, and I thought I saw a clip of them talking about at least 2 credible threats, a couple days ago from, always why do they have to emphasize lone wolf? Do you notice this term? Have you noticed this?
They do that because they don't want us to actually, the whole, they don't want us to connect it with Muslims, to associate it with Muslims, because then that draws attention to the border and the fact that they've let the open lax borders and all these people are just pouring into our countries. So when they say lone wolf, they want to make it think like, oh no, it's not an outside terrorist, it's just some crazy person here,
Well, and I don't even think it's based off a religion. I think they don't want anyone to think there's anything organized. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's from extreme Islam or Antifa, which I'm seeing reports of like some of these secret meetings Antifa's holding that are not the typical nose ring, blue haired, emo generation that Antifa was when I was in my 20s. This is developed into 30-year-olds who are a little more organized, and so I think they're trying desperately to hide any type of organization that has been weaponized, because you can't go for 10 years telling a generation that there is a threat to democracy without there being people that genuinely have been brainwashed to believe that to be true.
Oh, absolutely. Every single one of these people that have tried to attack Trump, that have tried to assassinate him, they have all directly been radicalized by Biden, by Kamala, by the Democrats, by the media. They all have blood on their hands. It's the rhetoric they use. He's an existential threat to our democracy. Existential threat. They keep pounding that into the head. It's a psyop, is what they're doing.
And it's a proven fact that the voting base, people who graduate college, have a higher chance of voting Democrat than they do Republican. And so we know that they know words matter. We pretend like, oh yeah, words don't matter. No, they know that the words chosen matter. So when you see media outlets all pick a word like you just mentioned, what was it? Threat to democracy, or is that exactly how it was phrased, or was
existential threat to democracy? That's what you keep hearing over and over and over again.
Right. And I mean, have you ever Googled the word?
I have not. Why don't we do that? You want to pull it up and let's see exactly what existential threat means?
Yeah, no, I'm pulling it up right now because
that's one thing is once you become, I guess, woke, whatever you want to call it. Once you are onto their tricks, you see what they're doing. You pick up the things that they're doing. When you start hearing the exact same words being repeated over and over again from multiple different media outlets, they all use the exact same words. That is a psyop. They're parroting it. They're being told what to say, and they're all parroting the same thing, because once you keep repeating something, then that sticks in somebody's head. It's like the cigarette burns theory, like in the movies back in the day. They don't do it anymore because they don't have film, but back in the day in the movies, they used to have these things called cigarette burns, which is it's subliminal messages is essentially what it is.
What do you mean?
They would put they would take they would cut in little subliminal little clips, like little one frame clips in the movie of like Coca-Cola or whatever brand that they wanted to promote, or popcorn even, just to make people thirsty and hungry. And it worked without actually advertising it, or without actually telling people, hey, go get popcorn. they would just add these little clips, and they're subliminal. Your brain picks them up. You don't notice them consciously you don't notice them, but subconsciously you do.
Okay, so threat versus existential. All right, yeah, of, relating to, or affirming existence, grounded in existence or the experience of existence. Trump is a threat to your experience of existence. That is what they were telling
Sounds
me.
like some kind of dangerous rhetoric there that certainly would make people think that it's the end of the world and he's gotta be eliminated,
Yes, yeah, it's yeah, absolutely. Anyway, let's go on with what your article is talking about here, because this is actually very, very interesting.
But yeah, so back what I was saying is the pastor. One of the things that really raised the hairs on the back of my neck is this pastor, Pastor Brandon Biggs. Now I'm not very. I mean, I'm not super religious. I'm more spiritual, I guess. Like I do believe in God. I do believe in, that there's a higher power of being and all. But take this with a grain of salt, however you want. Some people believe in what do they call them? Visions from God, or they talk to God, or whatever.
Right.
And I've never had that person. I'm not discounting or discrediting anybody that has. I mean, I pray to God, and I do know that He listens, but I've never had anybody talk back to me, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, you haven't seen a message in the rain.
Exactly. So I mean, like I said, it's everybody's own beliefs on how they want to take this, how much credit they want to give it. But I will say that this is this guy, he is he predicted Trump's assassination in Butler, his attempt in Butler, the assassination attempt in Butler. He predicted it was going to happen. He predicted all the way down to him getting shot in the ear, and he was right. He predicted it. I'll just read the article.
Yes. No. Go ahead. Let's go.
Okay, so we got the title there. But alert: Pastor Brandon Biggs, a chilling warning for Trump's inauguration. What do they know that we don't? As we approach the highly anticipated and potentially dangerous inauguration of Donald Trump, a cloud of foreboding hangs over the event, fueled by a combination of eerie premonitions, mysterious disappearances of explosive materials, and an unprecedented lack of attendance from key political figures. Here's an in-depth look at what might be one of the most precarious moments in recent American political history. And this is talking about the pastor's premonition. Pastor Brandon Biggs has become a figure of intrigue and concern following his uncannily accurate prediction of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, where he foresaw a bullet grazing Trump's right ear. Now, with Trump's second inauguration on the horizon, Biggs has issued another prophetic warning. He describes visions of massive threats involving fertilizer, specifically ammonium nitrate, a substance notorious for its explosives. And this part right here is what made my hair stick up, because anybody that's been following the news closely, you'll know that back in 2023, so a little over a year ago, 30,000 tons of ammonium nitrate just went missing, vanished from a train.
When was that?
What
was that?
It was in, I think, Wyoming. Here, let's play the video. I got a video on it.
Yeah, let's go. I think we can hear the
It arrived in California. A train from Wyoming was loaded with more than 60,000 pounds of an explosive chemical, and 2 weeks later, it arrived in California empty. A mysterious disappearance of 30 tons of ammonium nitrate, a chemical often used as fertilizer, but is also a key component in explosives that has previously been used in several high-profile and devastating bombings. Union Pacific is the rail company that was transporting the chemical. According to their investigation, they don't believe foul play is involved. A Federal Railroad Administration representative said they believe one of the train car's gates was not properly closed, leading to the chemical leaking through the rail car along the 1,000-mile trek. Dyno Nobel, the explosives company responsible for shipping the ammonium nitrate, said the rail car was sealed when it left, and the seals were still intact upon arrival. But the bottom gate on the rail car may have developed a leak. If the ammonium nitrate spilled out gradually into the ground, Union Pacific said it's unharmful to any soil as it's typically used in fertilizer. But if they're right, it would mark just the latest major mishap in the rail industry that has caused a heightened level of concern over the safety of trains. A potential leak inside of a rail car would just add to the recent woes. In February, a train carrying hazardous materials derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. In the months to follow, several other high-profile derailments across the U.S. would control the news cycle as all eyes were on the transportation sector. Congress even holding hearings to discuss rail safety and accountability for avoidable mistakes. Right now, there's no definitive answer out of multiple ongoing investigations into how the ammonium nitrate vanished from the train. But because it's a chemical broadly used to build explosives and used in terror attacks and fatal accidents, a look at its history is serving as a reminder that the item should be handled with care. The Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 killed 168 people. The domestic terrorist used ammonium nitrate to build the bomb that went off inside a truck parked in front of the Murrah Federal Building. In 1947, 2,000 tons of the chemical exploded on a cargo ship docked in Texas, killing 581 people. In 2020, it was the source of an explosion in Beirut, Lebanon. 2,700 tons detonated, killing more than 200 people.
So there's that.
Yeah, and that is underreported, the amount of train accidents that happen in a year. I think we looked it up, and it was in the thousands a year in the United States, and that's supposedly incidents like this, where I must have just leaked out, and that is a possibility. But also, like my time in North Dakota, there's one main line that comes from Canada, goes through North Dakota into Minnesota before it goes, anywhere south, and it contains all of those gases and materials. So it's knowing how many unchecked illegal immigrants have been let into this country in the last 4 years.
Exactly.
And we're saying that none of them, I mean, I don't know. I don't believe that. There's it.
Doesn't believe it when they told him, when they told Trump that the zero terrorists came in under his watch. Even he doesn't believe that. He knows it's not true. There's no way for them to actually get an accurate number on that.
No. No. Yeah, it's
article back up.
All right, here we go.
Go ahead, what you were ever gonna say?
No, you're good. I'm right back into this.
Okay, I didn't interrupt you. And so we got that, and then also we'll continue. Let's see, where did I leave off at? The ammonium nitrate.
We just finished off with the pastor has had his own premonitions.
Okay.
Train from Wyoming was.
Yep. Train from
I put
Wyoming.
the pastor video in there. I don't know why it didn't stick. let me pull up I want you guys to actually watch this pastor's video because it's very important. You know, the stuff he says is I mean, it's I hope it doesn't happen. I really, really, really hope it doesn't happen.
Well, and like as you're looking this
was
up,
loaded with more than
as you're looking at, you might want to put those videos on mute there as you're scrolling through. But as you're looking that up, the pastor's video, and people that are like, oh, religion, you know, like, I'm going to say that there's a whole department of the government that does remote viewing, and they firmly believe in it. And so, like, these things, you can find a scientific way to describe them, or you can assign them to the spiritual realm. Either way, the guy's producing results. So you might as well hear him out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You know, my thing is he did get it right before.
Let's listen to him till he gets it wrong.
Exactly, which gives him some credit, even though I'm not really on board with that psychic stuff. You know, unless he proves me wrong, then, you know, I have nothing to say that he's not true, you know?
Listen, if this guy is a prophet, it gives hope to people like me, you know, because, like, you don't have to be fit to foretell the future. You know, maybe it might help. Maybe. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, so the ammonium nitrate also, because you'll hear what he says, he actually specifically says that there's going to be a specific attack using ammonium nitrate. So that when I heard him say that, that's what stuck up on the back of my neck, because I know of that 60,000 tons that went missing. But let's go ahead and we'll watch him.
It all started. I mean, I was just worshiping and just praying like I normally do, y'all. And all of a sudden, I was like, poof. And I told my wife, I said, get the phone. You got to record it. I could see, and it was the vision was putting all out in front of me. And I saw farming equipment. I saw massive.
If you want me to stop it, just let me know, by the way, if you want to say anything.
It looked like on the East Coast, this farming equipment was. And there were silos. And the Lord said, I want you to focus on fertilizer. And all of a sudden, it was like everything was coming at me very fast. And I could see these men buying lots of fertilizer since this summer over the course of quite a while. It looked like I could see. So you're not able to see the vision. So I have to describe what I saw. I forget, y'all. So bear with me. I saw trees. I saw leaves on the trees. I saw the summer grass growing. It was hot outside. And I saw these men collecting fertilizer through different places so that they would not be detected. Okay. It was like different locations buying fertilizer in bulk as much as they could without drawing suspicion. That's the way I would say it. And so these men were buying this fertilizer, and so they were storing it. And I saw massive dump trucks with separation of in the back of these dump trucks, separation with 50-gallon drums, all filled with different kind of chemicals to make what was happened in Oklahoma City back in the 90s. Okay. This happened in the 90s. And it was a massive thing, not black powder, but this fertilizer stuff. And I saw fertilizer in in a big dump truck. And the dump truck was like a big diesel that looked like construction workers. They had purchased a massive construction vehicle, like dump truck thing. And they put all this in so that it would cause a major catastrophic event. So they made the front of it armor-proof, bulletproof. Like you could not like shoot it and to make it stop it. So like very, very strong armor was on the front of this truck. underneath it. So it wasn't able to be seen really well. Okay. And I saw these men, and this is going to go a lot of different places. Okay. So you have to just listen to what I'm trying to tell y'all. I saw these men with these vests on in the front cab of the truck, vest on, and they had explosives on these vests. And there was 2 men in the truck, and they took the truck and they used it to go through police barricade and military barricades in Washington, D.C. And when they did this and they tried to stop them because they were trying to do it at a checkpoint to stop them, they pushed through the barricade because the truck was very strong. And then they got them, they surrounded them, and they ignited their vest, and they took out everybody. And when this happened, it was a massive crater in the dirt, in the ground, and all the buildings were completely wiped out. And they tried to get as close as they could to the Capitol. Okay. I saw them trying to get as close as they could to the Capitol, to major landmarks of Washington, D.C. The Lord spoke to me, and he talked to me about this. He talked to me about lone wolves. Lone wolves were in America. They were just sympathetic.
There's that word again. I just
Exactly,
pointed out.
lone wolf.
Pointing out lone wolves, right? But this does not sound like a lone wolf type of operation. You know, this is very organized.
This has deep state written all over it. If it's something that is true that ends up happening, it has deep state all over it.
I just looked up a quick history of inauguration locations, and if there's any law dictating that it has to be held in D.C., and there isn't. What's interesting, especially knowing in the history with Lyndon B. Johnson, his was held on the East Front. Harry Truman's was in the Rotunda. Ronald Reagan's was in the Rotunda. So this year, Trump has supposedly moved it to the Rotunda inside the Capitol building. So, and he's describing the Capitol building, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
he said that they were trying to get as close to the Capitol as possible before they detonated the things.
Now, is it possible that Trump would use a double at the Capitol building and then maybe in a bunker somewhere in Mar-a-Lago he is sworn in, or in DC he is sworn in a bunker somewhere? Is that a possibility?
I mean, we do know that
or there's a bunker underneath Capitol building, I'm sure, there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a possibility because it's not out of the realm of possibilities for them to have a double, for Trump to have a double.
I mean, it could be recorded at 7 a.m. in the morning. You know what I mean? And then, because there's no time frame. I mean, like, it doesn't. I don't believe it has to be changed over at a certain time. It's just the day of.
Exactly. Well, I think it has to be noon. I think it's.
Does it?
I'm not sure if it's in the Constitution, but I know that it's at noon is when it's when the balance of power changes.
I'm gonna grok it right now.
Yeah, check that out. But I mean, for Trump's own safety, I would love for him to just, if he could, I would love to have had him just do a swearing in, completely not public. Do it in Mar-a-Lago or whatever, where it's he's got security where it's safe, and I think he's safest at Mar-a-Lago, honestly.
I agree, and all it says, and you are correct, noon Eastern time, and that is the 20th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The president-elect officially takes office at noon Eastern time on Inauguration Day, but there is no law as to date or place.
They can have it wherever they want.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. He could, first of all, Trump has a body double out there already. And we've shown it on our show. And I think it's smart. He's using his body double at events with friends. So like Elon Musk's that rocket that came down and landed by itself, that was a body double for Trump. And of course, Musk would be for it because he understands the severity of the situation. And I think in this situation, I don't think there's anything wrong with a double. Maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think go in the basement of Mar-a-Lago and record it live and then have the fancy ceremony at the Capitol, and then if something happens, they'll cut the feed. You're not gonna see Trump. I wouldn't imagine anything happen to him. And then, or even if there was, you could just bandage him up and take a picture of him in the hospital and be like, I'm okay. My head totally didn't blow off. I'm totally fine. And whatever it needs to be done. But I can't imagine. I think I'll be able to tell. It kills me. I can't live stream this inauguration, but it is what it is.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it's still going to be live streamed. It's just they're not going to allow members of the public in. I do believe it's still going to be live streamed because I plan on showing that if it is.
Well, and maybe that's why certain people aren't showing up because they know that, hey, I mean, it's not even going to be the real Trump there.
Possibly. I mean, I was going to go, but I decided not to because of everything that happened on, the last time with January 20th.
Yeah.
I don't want to potentially get caught up and wind up, the next January 6er,
Yeah. And is Trump still holding a rally on the 19th in DC? I don't know if that's a thing still going on. I can Google that too here.
Yeah, let's find that out because I don't know that. If I don't know a lot, I'm on Twitter all the time. So if I don't know, a lot of people don't know. So let's find that out for everybody because I know he was supposed to have a rally the day before, but I don't.
I'm going to look it up right here on Grok. Yes, he still is. It's going to be called the Make America Great Again Victory Rally. It's scheduled for 3 p.m. Eastern Time. January 19th, 2025. Trump, why are you doing this?
He takes a lot of risk with his safety. I cringe every time he gets on a public stage somewhere because I know how they are. We all do that. We know how they are. They will stop at nothing to keep power and that's all it is. It's about power and greed.
Yes, and to tell me these people are facing, according to what they ran on, the Republican Party ran on, according to what they ran on, sorry, pause this here real quick. A lot of people are going to jail and losing their jobs. And we're just supposed to believe that there's been no organized protest. No marches, that the Democrats are just going to be like, you know what? You got us. He won a popular vote. We're just going away.
See, that's the part that scares me too. Is the Democrats? I mean, yeah, they're making a little bit of a rumble on TV and stuff, but they're really not fighting back. They're not doing anything super. I mean, Biden's doing a lot of treacherous things against the country, with his pardons and all this other crap he's doing, his executive orders. But as far as like actually trying to do stuff to stop Trump from taking office, they're not really doing anything. I thought that it was supposed to be such a big deal for them to try to get in there and stop the certification of the votes from the election. That never happened. And as a matter of fact, the rally that they had only had a couple hundred people outside of there. It wasn't even, barely anybody even showed up to their little, anti-Trump rally.
Yeah. Well, and it's organized opposition when the placards and signs people are holding all are professionally done. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and we knew they were bussing them in 15 years ago. Oppositions were bussing in protesters. I had a friend whose brother was paid $15 an hour to do marches in different cities back in the early 2010s. So, I mean,
And the pussy hats too. You know, when they distribute all the little pussy hats out there for everybody, you know, it's all coordinated.
yeah.
Even with the Black Lives Matter rallies and stuff, that you wouldn't know. We exposed so many times where they had truckfuls of weapons and bricks and stuff that they were just delivering to these cities and leaving them wide open, and sending people notices saying, hey, this truck's going to be here, come get them while they're hot. They were arming them, and it was a coordinated effort. People aren't just doing that on their own. It was a coordinated effort.
Yes. And I mean, Lisa James, she's bringing up rational ideas that the police will be a strong presence. It's indoors. All of these things are true, but we also know how the police acted on January 6, 2021. We also know we also know that high-ranking leaders of the Democrat Party won't be attending. There's just a lot of ifs right now. And then according to this pastors here, what you're sharing with us, and I like to get back to that project. But what he's sharing is that, there's going to be a huge explosion, and then individuals within the crowd in the back will then bum rush towards the stage to hopefully get to, not hopefully on our end, but speaking for what he's seen. I'm getting that's sort of the gist of what he's saying, isn't it, Project?
Yep, absolutely. I'm pulling the article back up here now for us so we can finish reading it.
No, absolutely. That's cool.
All right. Okay, so here we go. So we left off. We did the pasture. We did the varnishing, ammonium nitrate. Okay, so yeah, like you said, you touched on it briefly, the absence of key figures. Perhaps the most telling sign that something is amiss is the unprecedented decision by high-ranking Democrats to boycott the inauguration. Figures like Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, even George Bush all have announced they will not attend, citing various reasons from personal to political. The mass absence could be interpreted in several ways: a political statement, fear of association, or perhaps knowledge, advanced knowledge. I should have put advanced knowledge of an imminent threat. The question remains, what do these leaders know that the public does not? Could their absence be a strategic move to avoid an unfolding disaster? And it's not just them, too, by the way. There's if you go down to the bottom here, there's a ton of Democrats in the House of Representatives and Congress that are refusing to attend as well. So it's just between the threat from the guy, the premonition from the guy about the threat, between them moving it indoors, between all these Democrats not attending, it's a scary thing. Of course, a lot of us are worried, especially since, like I said, we've all had that gut reaction ever since he won that, oh man, they're not gonna let him take power. They're planning something.
Yes. I pulled up if you don't mind me sharing a quick little clip. It's a short little clip here of them talking about the plans for security for the inauguration here.
Yeah, you can. We're done with that article for the most part, so you can do your thing here.
What is the difference in comparison to the last inauguration or previous inauguration?
Last inauguration. I would say we have a slightly more robust security plan. We've been planning for this event for 12 months, along with our partners. It's an ever-changing threat environment, and so we stay flexible. If we see that, hey, we need to shore this particular checkpoint up, we do that. So what's different? We've learned. This is our 5th NSSE this year in the Washington field office. We've done 83 NSSEs. Each one we take a look at, and if there's areas where we need to improve, we do it. But what I can tell you is that we are 100% confident in the plan that we have put in place for this inauguration, that the public and our protectees will be safe.
All right. So, I mean, that's from the staff. So I believe them. Right?
Yep. Now that brings up another point, though, and I briefly touched on it in the article as well. But there's a bunch of local police departments around DC that have all declined. They've been asked to do security or to be involved with the motorcade or whatever, just for the inauguration. They've declined to do the detail. Like, WTF? Like, I don't see how they can decline it. I don't
Maybe
get that. But that's
maybe that's not a bad thing. I mean, are they pure? Are you telling me all the police force in New York City is pure as crime runs similar to conditions in Gotham City? Maybe it's a good thing we don't have DC police there. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's a horrible thing, because you want people there that want to see the process happen.
I mean, if they're not going to do a good job, like, clearly if they're declining because of political bias, then we don't want them there, because that means that, that they're not going to do their job. They're going to let people in that aren't supposed to be there, and we don't want that. So I would much rather replace them with people that are patriots, as opposed to these traitors.
I've got another clip here for and this is, of course, just someone's opinion, someone putting their perspective out there, but I thought it was interesting.
He's not going to be sworn in, and he will not be our next president. How I know that for certain comes from the knowledge, some information I found out last night that I didn't know. We all know that when Biden was sworn in, the one person not present at his inauguration was who? Donald Trump. He lacked the character to be there, to share in another man's joy, to have the character to say, I didn't win the election, you did. But here's a guy that's been given everything on a silver platter his whole life. He was born on third base and thought he hit a triple. And he couldn't be at Joe Biden's inauguration. So what I found out last night is, I'm thinking, when is Donald Trump going to be arrested? And now I know that he's going to be arrested at his inauguration.
I'm just going to pause this right here. This guy looks like he got a vasectomy, even though there was no way he could ever impregnate someone. But he just did it to have team spirit. Just throw that out there. Personal.
Yeah, they're all those beta males that like Tim Waltz,
Fake nice.
Because there's going to be 3 people not present there. They are Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, and their wives will not be present at Donald Trump's inauguration on Monday.
All right. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing you talked about. I like showing. It just reminds me of sort of a desperate hope, and maybe that's all this is. It's just there's a desperate hope by Democrats to not lose power. But I hope nothing comes of this. Mama M says everyone says that if the premonition doesn't come true, it wasn't real. But there's also the belief that it could be that we were warned and thwarted the attack.
You know, that I'm fine either way. I'm absolutely fine either way with that.
Right.
I mean, this guy, honestly, from what I hear, I haven't done too much research into him specifically, but I've been told, I haven't checked the credibility yet, but I've told that he's been right on other things as well too. I was told that he was right on the New Orleans,
New Orleans
thing.
Vegas,
yeah,
yes,
Vegas
yeah.
as well. So it's not. He didn't just get one thing right. He's gotten a bunch of things right.
And then there was this meeting by I think he was head of security here, and everyone's sort of reading into this however they may.
One last word, which is, I hope this is my last time at this podium, at least for a little while. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean, the only thing that would bring me back is an unexpected event in the next few days, which, as you all know, is totally possible given everything you've seen over the course of the past years.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that clip.
Yeah. I mean, is that a veil?
That raises some eyebrows.
It's interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's not like we're just living in fairy tale land, people that have this gut feeling, you know, there's definite, definitely a group think on this matter. Anyway. That's some good stuff, Project. I mean, great articles. Once again, just take a pause here. If you have not subscribed to Project Constitution on X, you need to, because every day he's posting not just like clickbait stuff, but well thought out, well formulated opinion on what he's observing in the news and dissecting it for you. So, and that's really the beauty of X, is that there are a lot of rational people out there. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on X. X is the wild, wild west, as it should be, I think. But when it comes to looking for news sources and the dissection of the media and the propaganda that's being propagated to us, it's refreshing to find these little accounts that are oasis of just reason. So if you get a chance, not even get a chance, force yourself, go to X, subscribe to Project Constitution. I'll give them a follow.
You see, I'm not really a people person. I'm not an on-camera guy. I'm a researcher. You know, I do. I observe things. You know. So that's where I'm good at, and I put all that in my articles, man. You know, the articles I do, everything. Like I try. I only put out stuff that's absolute important, like really good stuff.
Well, and that's
as far as
about you, because there's a lot of shock accounts, and you know, like the Phantom Facts Society. You know, we're I wouldn't say guilty, because our goal is to teach you things that happened in history that apply to today, that are shocking, that are never talked about.
Deep dive stuff too, and have some good interviews. So yeah, everybody definitely should follow Phantom Society as well. He's had some really good live streams, some really cool people on. You know, he's definitely an up and comer.
Well, and all these people, you know, that are following, and you know, I think it's a beautiful thing, because they're people that are just looking for some actual truth, you know. So I think that's a beautiful thing. Mama M just posted, Alex Jones just posted, Trump may have changed plans again. So not a bad idea by Trump. You know, so if you want to know what the agenda is for the political atmosphere for the week, tune in tomorrow to CBS and to NBC and watch Meet the Press and all of those horrible shows with their horrible politicians that come on there. And the only reason you do that is so you can see what they have planned. And that is what their agenda, what their propaganda wing wants to establish. Now, and it gives you a little peek into what the public talking points for the American people are, and then you can plan accordingly. And if you don't want to do that, we'll clip it, and it would suffer for you guys. You're very observant, Project, and is it okay if I move on to just a subject of curiosity for me that I want to get your take on?
Yeah, sure, man.
Okay, so there's this. Obviously, Bill Gates is ever present in people's minds after his involvement in what happened in 2020, and really, if anyone was paying attention before that. But there's some interesting developments between the Trump administration and Bill Gates, and that is what I don't know what to make of it, but it's out there. And so, first of all, this is Kash Patel, right? What is he gonna be ahead of? I forget what.
FBI.
Yes, all right, head of the FBI. This is what he has to say about
Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list. And why is it that
talking about the Epstein list, of course,
the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing?
All right, so I find that interesting, and I'm glad to see that the future FBI director is asking these questions on grainy live streams. That makes me happy, because those are the questions that we've been asking for years. The problem I have, though, and maybe this is just Trump playing smart. I'm not for sure. But the question I have for you is, what do you make of this?
With Donald Trump since the election?
Yeah, I had a chance to go have a long and actually quite intriguing dinner with him.
What did you discuss? What was intriguing?
Well, we touched on a lot of things. It was over 3 hours. To my surprise, it was, just he and I, his chief of staff, Susie Wiles, and the person who helps manage things for me, Larry Cohen. So the four of us sat there, and it was quite wide-ranging. Global health's the area that I work in, and such amazing things have happened and can happen there. I spoke a lot about HIV and that the foundation's literally working on a cure for that. We're at an early stage, and so he, in the COVID
He
days,
invented HIV. Cure my ass.
I'm just going to pause this here. Was this Bill Gates trying to strong arm or coerce Trump into not screwing him over? Is this like a plea deal being made?
No, I think Trump is in power now. Bill Gates is part of the swamp, the deep state, or whatever. And just like all the other techs, like the hell's the Facebook guy, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Is that his name?
Yeah, no, you're right, Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. But just like him, all these tech guys and all these Democratically, they're now sucking up to Trump, and they're donating millions of dollars to his inauguration fund or whatever. I don't know if you knew that too, but like Bill Gates and stuff, they've all donated $1 million each to his inauguration fund. And I have a problem with that. I don't like them getting close to Trump like that. I don't like them in the inner circle. And I really have a problem with the principle of it. Just because you have money, why do these billionaires get a seat at the table when it comes to crafting our policies and things about Americans? When why do they get a seat at the table just because they write a check?
Okay, yeah, I agree. On surface, there's something it feels seedy, right? And to take that money feels seedy. But
I think Trump
what
is
happens?
smarter.
Well, what happens if it's Trump, right? That he knows they're sniveling little cowards that go to whoever's in power and beg and think they can just pay off. And they think Trump, has gone through all this financial debt. So, of course, he's going to be willing to take payments. What happens, though, if Trump is using this as an opportunity to find out what their actual agendas are? Because Trump is not Trump of 2016. He is Trump of 2025, and he knows now how backstabbing and absolutely horrible Washington D.C. is when it comes to the swamp, and the swamp spit him out. And this is a different Trump, but I don't see any issue with Trump taking these meetings or taking their money. Sure, give me your money. Give me your money, and then I'm going to allow prosecution against all of you, or I'm going to allow the Netherlands that are suing Bill Gates. Who's suing Bill Gates? And I know India.
I think it's the Netherlands.
India. India's got a huge lawsuit against Bill Gates. I mean, their hatred for Bill Gates is
jail. He has blood on his hands with the COVID, like all that. He needs to be in jail.
Well, and we've talked about it for years about. There's documents you can pull up that were petitions to the UN of how he sterilized whole villages without their consent under the guise of vaccines. And so like this, this guy is a hardcore eugenicist. I don't care what you say in the community notes on X. He comes from a family of eugenics. His father was involved in the entire West Wing of Planned Parenthood back in the 70s when it was about eugenics. So, and Bill Gates, who does he love to target? He loves to target low-income villages where he can just test on people. He tested on people in the what's that homeless strip in Vegas, or not in Vegas, in L.A. Where there's like 100,000 homeless people along that stretch along the Cecil Hotel, Skid Row or whatever it's called. He did tuberculosis testing on them, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So
Gates, he wants to kill off half the population. He thinks we're overpopulated. He wants to, his main goal is to kill off half the population, and that everything he's doing is trying to do that. So with the HIV that they created to specifically target certain races, with the COVID to kill off the elderly because of healthcare, they're more costly when it comes to health. It's all about. He's a very nasty person, and he's one of the people that are one of the leaders of the deep state, if you will, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them.
He is a very powerful man, and he inherited his father's contact book, and his father was the most powerful man in Washington, so in the state of Washington. So and now he has created really he invented a spy program, just to be able to, they published all of these, or they produced all of these computers, and then had access to this guy is a no bueno, me first lizard person. It's a fight or flight with him. And right now he is running with his tail beneath his legs. Now, do you think people like Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, are going to face some sort of litigation in the U.S.? Or do you think that the U.S. just becomes extremely helpful in the cases in India and the Netherlands, and then they don't have to worry about it being done here?
Well, here's the thing. Like you said, Trump learned his lesson from 2016. So he's a lot smarter. He's going into this a lot smarter and more tactical. Like Mama M in the comments said, playing 5D chess. And I do believe that. You know, everything he's doing is calculated. Trump does not do anything that is not super calculated, with the exception of his mean tweets. You know.
Yes.
But I think we all don't mind them. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
But although I will say Trump's Achilles heel, if you would, is when people praise him. He's very susceptible to being buttered up to the ass kissers, if you know what I mean.
Do you think he's learned from that, or do you think there's examples of him still exhibiting that behavior 2025?
See, I don't know. I would say examples of it are the exact same thing that we're talking about now. Him meeting with Bill Gates, with Zuckerberg, with Fetterman and stuff. Except that could very well be part of his plan. That could be part of his chess game. So we really, only time will tell whether, you know, which it is. But that's definitely a concern that I have, and I know a lot of other people share that concern.
Well, and just because, and there may be an agreement that the party, the Democrat Party, had been supported so much that they had turned inefficient to the corporate's pocketbook. And now they want someone to come in and fix their problem that they created, this whole HR nightmare. And they are going to have Trump do the dirty work for them. I think that is their perspective. The Democrat Party went a little nuts. So we're going to abandon them. We're going to stop funding them until they sort themselves out in a way we like. And we are going to throw our money at Trump. We're going to play nicer with him as long as he does what we want. And I feel like those are the deals being made right now. And are we looking for forgiveness and we just move on and we pretend 2020 never happened? Or is there accountability?
Absolutely not.
You
There
don't think
has to be accountability. People's lives were lost. Many, many millions of people's lives were lost. There has to be accountability for COVID. People need to pay, especially that SOB right there.
Now let's play
same thing. Same thing with the January 6ers too. You know, their due rights, their due process rights have been violated. They've been stuck in jail for years now without even being tried. They need to be held accountable as well. I hope, you know, Trump was kind in 2016 by not going after Hillary, and I hope he doesn't make the same mistake here. I hope that even if Trump doesn't, you know, direct it, I sure hope that the people he put in place, like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, I hope that they are going to actually hold these people accountable criminally.
Let's play a little bit more of what Bill Gates talked about in his meeting with Trump.
Vaccine innovation. So I, was asking him if maybe the same kind of thing could be done here.
First of all, I want to make several notes because I believe body presence matters. Bill Gates is usually very self-assured. Look at him. His arms are crossed. He is jittery. He is moving around. He is not comfortable with what he has to say.
Vaccine innovation. So I, was asking him if maybe the same kind of
big swallow. Did you hear that?
thing could be done here. And we both got, I think, pretty excited about that. We talked about polio, where, we're very close to getting that done, but.
What? I thought polio was already fixed.
Exactly. Polio's been gone for a long time.
Okay, let's continue on.
If you stop, it'll spread back. And so I explained why it's been tough in Pakistan, Afghanistan. We've had cases show up in Gaza. We have cases in Africa.
Oh my Lord. Bill Gates is concerned about Gaza. Those kids have polio.
And he was fascinated to hear what he could do to maximize the chance that during the next 4 years that incredible milestone will be achieved. I felt like he was, energized and, looking forward to helping to drive innovation. I was frankly impressed with how well he showed a lot of interest in the issues I brought up.
So Bill Gates, at least we know he's groveling. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I do like to see him squirm. Absolutely. Anytime we put him on the hot seat, that's a win.
Well, now American culture, and I'm going to say this because we've had one example of a rebellion within states, and that was the Civil War. And what has been considered by historians is probably one of the best moves by the winning party of that war was to let everyone go back home and just pretend the thing didn't happen. And it turned out that, what was it, 50, 60 years later, we're a unified country enough to go fight in a World War I. So, I mean, is the right path here to just forgive, forget, and introduce legislation so that it'll never happen again? Or do we need
families? Tell that to the families of all the people that have lost loved ones.
Civil War. That's why I chose the Civil War, right? Because this divided families down to the down to the intricate level of father and mother, child and parents. I mean, everyone was being ripped apart by this disease, and then you had thousands of people die from forced misinformation from public officials. I agree. Right? Like, it is horrible, the loss of life, just the loss of life, not even the loss of relationships that came from this. But I'm just saying that is also similar to the loss of life and friendships that was caused by the Civil War. And what is the best course of action for our nation, 40 years from now, 10 years from now? I don't ever want to have my kids put in a position where they have to go through what we went through, or their grandkids.
The problem is, though, and this is why all these Democrat-run cities are all going to hell and crime is running rampant. When you don't punish the criminals, when you just let them off with a slap on the wrist, then it keeps happening again and again and again. There is no actual deterrent. So you can write whatever laws you want, but if they know that there is not consequences for their actions, they're going to keep offending. Bill Gates, all of them are going to keep doing their thing.
And we are acting as if Trump, and I get caught up in the rhetoric too, but we're acting as there are certain things he can do within the legal departments, right? But as far as legislation and preventing that's all up to Congress. And we know who lines Congress's pockets. It is pharmaceutical companies, it is APAC, and it is the military industrial complex. And so Trump is only going to be able to control so much within his realm. And this is an instance where he could actually do something and use the judicial system to his advantage. I mean, he could take some of these cases all the way up to the Supreme Court, where we could have rulings where if, misinformation was given, these companies are held liable. Just all you have to do is tell them that they're going to be liable. Hey, if you lie to us and your numbers are off, you have to pretty much pay everyone until you are out of business. Yeah.
I say D, all of the above.
Thank you. That's it. All right. What do you got?
What do you think about the situation with the Act Blue, with them trying to scam money off of the wildfire victims for the Democrat Party?
I could not believe that. I had to go onto Gavin Newsom's wife's X account and verify it for myself that they were skimming off the top. So all these people,
a significant amount.
Are you surprised? Is anyone surprised? Are we really surprised? If you get a chance, we've pinned it to the top of our X page at Phantom Society. But we have an interview with a Haitian that experienced the Democrat Party and the old Rhino Republican Party at its finest in 2010 during the earthquakes. And it is exactly what they did in California. So what Hillary Clinton did and the Bushes, they set up a joint 5013 company to receive all the donations, almost $10 billion sent to Haiti for earthquake assistance. And they set up an organization, nonprofit, to receive this money. And that organization would then distribute it to the individuals in Haiti, to which they built 6 houses. All the other money was sent to build infrastructure for the gold mines in Haiti. So everyone that texted the help, to their Verizon provider, to the Red Cross, to donate $10 in 2010, paid for the Clintons to purchase Haiti's infrastructure. So this is a playbook straight out of the political State Department, and so it didn't surprise me. I guess it did a little bit, but they weren't even hiding it, dude. Like, it was just, hey, thanks for the 4%.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is back in the day, and not even that long ago, back in the day, it took people like us that could read between the lines to see what they were doing. But now they're very open with what they're doing. They're not even trying to hide their agenda anymore, which to me is crazy. And I think that's why their party is going to shambles, why the Democrat Party is going to shambles, because there's so many radical people in there that aren't even hiding their agendas now, their socialist agendas, that that some of the more conservative people of the Democratic Party are stepping away and like, whoa, this is not my party anymore. I mean, look at Tulsi Gabbard. Even I think John Fetterman is going to be next, honestly. What do you think? Do you think John Fetterman is on his way to becoming a Republican?
No, I think we're going to see a return to perceived normalcy of the Democrat Party. It won't be normal by any means. It'll be disguised. But the one thing about the Democrat Party is they are very efficient liars and great propagandists. So, kudos to them. But the problem is that for the first time in 2019, millennials now outnumber boomers, and they are the largest population of generation. And they will outnumber Gen Z and Gen A until there's a next baby boom. And with that change, we are seeing a change in mentality to how people are receiving this propaganda, because you can't be from the Carolinas where all that flood damage destroyed lives. It didn't. We're not just talking destroyed homes. We're talking that the government offered you $750, and if you didn't pay it back within 90 days or whatever the limit was, that your home or your land would be taken from you. And then, in order to not lose your land, you had to sleep on it in a tent. You still have to pay your property taxes on that land. And what did the government
right there for 1 second?
Go ahead.
The people in North Carolina, by the way, are still sleeping in tents. Many of them in Western North Carolina are still sleeping in tents. So right now, in this week during this, it's like 17 degrees in North Carolina. So one of my followers just messaged me and told me this. They're in a tent and it's 17 degrees out there.
It's 17. Project. It's 17. It was 17 degrees with snow on the ground when the people of North Carolina woke up to see that Joe Biden was going to cover 100% of the California fires, when they have to literally beg to stay on their land. Now, if you're a Democrat living in North Carolina, I don't know how you rationalize that, and I don't think they are. I think they see it now for what it is. And what it is a huge money laundering scheme that praises equality, but the equality they love is the equality among the elites in DC and in Facebook and in the old Twitter and the little parties they used to hang out with Oprah and the Obamas and the little films they got to make fun of Republicans with and their own propaganda wing of the media. And that has the boomer generation that believes in institutions is dying off, and millennials are not as gullible to that type. I mean, we're gullible. I'm gullible, but we're not as gullible to the old school tricks of the Democrat Party or of the Republican Party, for that matter. There are serious concerns with the Republican Party. I feel like I feel like everyone is so nervous about Trump getting inaugurated that they're just going to sigh a breath of relief and not pay attention to the news for 3 months. And that could be dangerous, because when a party is let loose, even though they're serving in our interests, we still have to make sure they're not going to serve their own personal interests. Because if this goes the way we want, Trump, after 4 years, will be succeeded by J.D. Vance, who will get 8 years. And then who knows who comes after that. And it's a real opportunity to repair America's economy and its soul. And if you allow personal corruption to get involved in these different departments, I mean, it could ruin people or take on ever having this type of liberty that we experience right now.
And a little bit about that also. I also worry about some of Trump's cabinet members. How they could potentially cause problems, be a thorn in the side, and it's like Scott Bessent. He's got ties to George Soros. That's something that concerns me. Kennedy is very into the environmental stuff. That's another thing that concerns me. I mean, I like Kennedy on the surface, but there's things that don't align with Trump's agenda, and I worry: are they going to be able to put them aside and do what Trump wants to do, or are they going to try to, sneak in their own stuff?
And there are things like, with RFK Jr. First of all, Alex Jones released the leaked audio there of them talking about LBJ being involved in the assassination of Kennedy. And then during LBJ's time as president, RFK Jr.'s dad was also assassinated. And so those are things that, provide me hope, because Kennedy has been in politics, but not political for a long time. And he's been able to observe how these people operate. And I agree with you, like, there are issues as to, being self-sustainable with our oil and with our natural gas, and that it's cheap for us to get to work. And oil production is essential for that, because we are an oil ran country. But it is also possible to make sure that we don't decimate the forests of Appalachia, which repopulated the entire continent after the Ice Age. I mean, that's crazy. That mountain range repopulated think about how powerful that is. I think there has to be a balance. And that's what I loved about Theodore Roosevelt. There was a man that could appreciate the importance and power of nature in a country's, and the respect for it in a country's ability to grow as a nation. And that, I feel, is what is lost. Like, these cities talk about protecting the environment, but you go down their cities and there's literally poop on the streets. There's homeless people with needles up their arms. There's homeless encampments that are, 2-story shanty houses built out of plywood, for Christ's sake. And yet they talk about how worried they're about their environment. And so, like, I think there has to be a discussion with Republicans. Like, yes, it's okay to be concerned about nature, and also realize that we need to be self-sufficient, and we can balance those things. We have Alaska, for Christ's sake. Like, Alaska goes from North Dakota to almost the end of Texas. It's huge. And we can, and all of that offshore drilling and activity that takes place along those coastlines, those are huge investments. I remember how much it costs to fill up my tank under Trump. We can do that and still take care of nature. That talking about some. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I agree with you. You're 100% right on that. And there has to be a balance, 100%. And another thing that there's another thing that worries me too, is I think not just Republicans, but a majority of the country wants to deport these illegal immigrants. They want to get rid of them. They're bad for our economy. They're stealing our jobs. They're stealing our money. I mean, everything. But at the same time, something that concerns me, that I want to make sure, I hope that they're going to put, like Tom Homan is going to put safeguards in place for this. I do not want to see them start violating our rights and becoming a police state and becoming authoritarian in order to do that, in order to actually execute the deportations, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't want to start seeing Nazi checkpoints here in America.
Project, there are already checkpoints here in America.
Oh, I run Delete Laws channel. I know, believe me, I teach all that stuff.
I just learned crazy last year. It blew my mind. I had no clue that like they had these checkpoints set up for any type of van, and I think how sad, because I grew up in an America where, you just go driving around. You never thought about these types of issues, but that's the world we live in. And I agree that the pendulum swings too far. It goes very, very bad, and it's easy for the media to make it seem even worse. And that's what worries me about the person that's going to be in charge of deportation, and that is my beloved governor of several years, the wonderful Kristi Noem, who have I paid attention to for a very long time. And South Dakota is a small state. And so you get to know your neighbor. And I've gotten to know Kristi Noem. And it's oh no with Noem.
I'm not too familiar with her. I know, didn't she shoot her dog or something like that? That's the only thing that I really know about her.
Kristi Noem, you got to understand, among a very elite group of ranchers, they ate that story up. They're like, yeah, shoot that bird dog, because they're heartless corporate farmers that care nothing about the environment. And so she won points with them. But yes, she out of anger of a bad hunt that she had with her hunting dog, hunting pheasants, who was still just 6 months into it, took it down to the ground. This is the best part. They're remodeling her house. She drives up like a madman, jumps out of the car, yanks the dog out, trucks on down to the bottom of the gravel pit, and shoots the dog while the guys are doing construction on her house.
Wow.
All right, so this is the lady deporting. This is the lady deporting. I'm going to play a couple clips of her. And here's the thing with Kristi is like, illegal immigrants they're murdering people. They're going into small towns in South Dakota, and kidnapping people right off the streets. So it's everywhere. And there needs to be a firm hand. And I do believe that Kristi Noem is a very firm-handed person. And maybe that's all you need is the image of firmness. And it will prevent any more migrations. And then
you're right about that, because if you've noticed, there's a lot of immigrants that are self-deporting now. I saw that story on the news today where there's lines and lines of them just leaving the country now. Instead of coming in, they're leaving.
Yes. Yep. And Kristi Noem is good for that because she is a big talker. She's a big talker. She's very vocal. Was it open-throated? I believe was the term used by Trump to describe her. Very open-throated. There's a secondary meaning behind that, but we won't go behind that. What is the past is the past. But there was a couple of things I thought was interesting in her hearing the other day. This was her talking about the lack of communication between the Department of Homeland Security and other intelligence organizations.
Say is the cybersecurity and intelligence elements that we have within the Department of Homeland Security have been incredibly siloed. They have not communicated with other intelligence agencies like they should and partnered. INA has some interaction, but not enough. And we also need to have CISA have interaction with the FBI, CIA to make sure they're working together to stop these types of threats and identify when they're growing among our citizens and how they become radicalized.
And that is, I think, interesting. Why is there not open communication between these agencies? I think we know why. I think we all know why, don't we?
Absolutely.
So that's good. And Mama M brings up a point. I am for deportation, just to be clear. And I am not. I'm not saying I am against it. I'm just saying, can we be civil about it? Can we do it in a way where we get them all out and then we give them an actual opportunity to enjoy the American dream in an organized fashion? I don't want it to
legally. Like, I'm not against immigration whatsoever, but they've got to do it legally. They've got to go through the proper channels. There needs to be mechanisms in place to make sure these people are vetted, to make sure that not only they're not terrorists, but to make sure that they're going to come in and integrate well with our society. Just like, you don't all in Ohio, where they were dumping all the Haitians in Ohio and they were not integrating well. They were eating our cats and our dogs. That was, that was real. That wasn't a joke. That was real. The Democrats tried to play it off like it wasn't happening, but it was. I've talked to some of the families that happened to personally. It was happening. And it's nothing. I'm not saying that that's for them, that's not a bad thing. That's what they do in their culture. But if you come here, you can't do that. You have to integrate with our society.
And Mama M, I apologize. I didn't catch this part. It says the illegals are not stealing jobs. Americans have become fat, lazy pieces of poopy that don't want to do the hard jobs. Make your 12-year-old go mow lawns. All right. I'm going to pause here because
some truth to that.
There is absolutely some truth to that. But I want to focus on
jobs, but there is some truth.
I want to focus on Kristi Noem here, though, because we all agree that they shouldn't be taking. There are plenty of people here that we need to become self-sustainable and go back to learning how communities operate and providing services within our communities and allowing businesses within the communities to thrive and starving big box corporations out of business. And you can do that by massive deregulation, right? The problem is people like Kristi Noem, they are going to talk a big game about, deporting everyone out of there that's an illegal and blah, blah, blah. And her role is to decide the mechanism in which to allow people in and out as well. Now, I am from the Midwest, Project, and I know that in very red states like North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, all of these states, Kansas, all of these states hire massive amounts of illegal immigrants to come in for seasonal work illegally. Since I was a kid. And I know this because I was raised in a ministry, and I would travel with my adoptive grandmother. And she was from Oregon, but Mexico originally. And she would conduct Bible studies with people who spoke Spanish because we couldn't speak Spanish. And I was learning, and I would go, and it blew my mind that I'd grown up in this town, by the time I was like 10 or 11. And I'd always seen this one aspect, and I would go out to these tiny towns of like 10, 50 homes, and they would be packed full of illegal immigrants working for pennies. And the politicians knew all about it. They knew all about it. And they turned a blind eye to it. And that stuff has to stop too. And those are the types of changes that need to happen.
Well, that all goes to the lobbyists. That goes back to the lobbying. The people that are lobbying and giving the Congress money, whether it be the local Congress or our federal Congress, the people that are giving them money are influencing them and essentially buying their vote. And that needs to stop. I think we need to ban lobbying. That's a net negative for our society.
Yeah, or yes, or corporations identifying as individuals.
And we also, I think we need to get rid of term limits too. That's another thing to weed out a lot of this crap.
And then, I firmly believe that Trump is very anti-war. I've got this clip, if you don't mind me playing it. Just sort of, just to back that up. I think everyone here knows it, but it's, always nice to hear it from the orange man's mouth.
I mean, this is a total catastrophe, and you might as well get out now because you're just wasting time and lives. Nobody talks about the soldiers that are coming back with no arms and no legs. And I saw at Mar-a-Lago on Mondays, I make Mar-a-Lago my club that you know about.
In Palm Beach.
I make that twice now. On a Monday, I let returning Iraqi injured soldiers come to the premises. The most beautiful people I've ever seen, but they're missing arms and legs. They're with their wives. Sometimes they're with their girlfriends, and the tears are coming down the faces of these people. I mean, the thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands, and the Iraqis that have been just maimed and killed. This war is a horrible thing. Now, President Bush says he's religious, and yet 400,000 people, the way I count it, have died, and probably millions have been badly maimed and injured. What's going on? What's going on? And the day we pull out, it's going to explode. We're keeping the lid on a little bit. It's still a catastrophe. But the day we pull out, because they're in a civil war, whether we want to admit it or not.
So, I mean, oddly, Trump foretelling the truth right there, too.
Yep.
But I do believe there are warmongers among his cabinet. And
Absolutely.
And this stuff with Ukraine, we know Lindsey Graham is going to use whatever leverage he can to keep supplying weapons to Ukraine and Israel. And I know Israel is doing the ceasefire thing, but Syria is open game. And Israel wants a peace, along with Turkey, along with Iran. So I don't foresee those countries stopping anytime soon. And if they want to buy our weapons, that's fine. But I think this funding their wars has got to stop.
Oh, I completely agree. And that goes with any of our allies. I don't think we should fund their wars as far as the offense. We should fund maybe their defense, help them out with their like people that want to attack Israel and stuff. Absolutely, we help them. People that want to attack Ukraine, that's why we help them. But as far as helping them to go after and start wars to gain either territory or for political reasons or whatever, that's not good. That needs to stop, and we need to not fund that.
No, and like I am, I think everyone has their, and rightfully so, everyone's an individual. They have their own perspective and takes on these international engagements, right? But we are not there. We are not seeing 700, 800, 1.5 million people dying from our towns, from our villages. We are very well isolated. And I think that isolation that the American people experience when it comes to global affairs, I personally think, man, like we can't even afford to take care of our veterans who have trauma and ailments from a 13-year war that we just got done fighting. Let's take care of those guys. Let's build them houses. Let's restore the family, the nuclear family. And then, if we want to go and, get involved in another country, let's get involved then. But we need to really turn inward at least these 4 years and straighten this stuff out.
I absolutely agree. I was getting ready to say the same thing, actually. We need to take care of ourselves first before we, think about helping anybody else. If we are not, one of my favorite creators said today, Squirrel Tribe. By the way, if you're not following her, check her out on YouTube. She's a great creator. I post a lot of her videos on my channel a lot. But she thinks like us as well. But she said the thing, if your house is not in order, you can't help somebody else. You can't help them put their house in order. You have to make sure that your
bed
and yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to disrupt your thought. It reminded me of Jordan Peterson's book there. Was it 12 Rules? It's make your bed. And we are America, and we We need to make our bed. It's very messy. Our bedroom is messy.
We need to take care of us first. We've been neglecting it for years. It's time to button down the hatches, get ourselves back together, make ourselves. I completely agree with that, by the way. Ban lobbyists and super PACs 100%. 100%. Yeah, Squirrel Tribe. That's right.
Well, and we are the changes we want to see, right? That's also part of the American dream, is that sure, on the federal level, Trump is going to stabilize things so that we can focus on our own communities. And what game plans do we have for our own community? And communities, the places we live, the places we hang out on X or YouTube, all of these things, are put on us. It's not going to be RFK Jr. that makes us healthy again. It's not going to be Trump that makes America great again. It's going to be us, and we've done the first step. By popular vote, we put in a president, a vice president, and a cabinet that we think is good enough to right the ship on a federal level and give us time to work on a community level, on our school districts, on our school boards, on the teachers unions, on the control they have on propagating our children. Those are all things, time. Do we take time to, to focus on those things, because they're just as important as anything else, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, a lot of the people that we need to get rid of are people that are ingrained in the system. I think, I don't know how we get rid of them, because the people like the Lindsey Grahams and the Mitch McConnells and the Nancy Pelosi's, they keep getting elected over and over and over again, even though everybody sees what they're doing. They see that they are abusing their power. They see that they are making tons and tons of money off these lobbyists, by being bought. They're making tons of money off the stock market through insider trading, and they're all doing it at the at our expense, at Americans' expense. So I don't understand how they keep getting elected, but how do we get rid of people like that?
Well, the Doge that everyone's talking about with Elon Musk, and I've talked to a lot of people that are, I would say, center Democrats, and they whisper to me. They whisper to my ear and say, "I'm really worried about Elon Musk," and da 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 da. And
I'm not. There's some things I'll get into that once you're done speaking. I'll let you speak, but there's certain, like the free speech thing, I have a problem with Elon Musk, but in general I don't. A lot of the things he does are very good and are benefiting society and are benefiting humanity.
And there is a difference between Twitter Elon Musk and bureaucratic Elon Musk. He has been able to accomplish great things under very different policies by different presidents through a long period of time, and done it successfully to a point where now they're dependent on him. So that alone is impressive. But when it comes to this government efficiency, Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk has spent a lot of time in Argentina with Javier Milei. And I believe that is that's an interesting piece of information, because have you been paying attention what's been going on in Argentina the last year?
I have not.
Okay, so he was what you would call a very libertarian type of guy, and Javier Milei. And he came in saying that he was going to get rid of all of these different bureaucracies in Argentina that were tanking the economy. The dollar, or their dollar, had inflated 200% by the time he came in office in 2023. Now, at the beginning of 2025, 1 year later, Javier Milei has completely rerouted the bleeding deficit, and they're going to post a positive for the first time, I think, in like 20 years. And so I feel like Elon Musk is taking a lot of notes as to how he's handled it. And we're going to see similar implementations here. And Javier Milei had control of funding as president. So, of course, you're going to have to get Congress in America politics to handle it. So it's not going to be as rash as everyone's going to worry about. But essentially what Doge is going to be is it's going to be a conduit for when people notice corruption in a bureaucracy, and they can channel it through Doge. And then I think it then gets broadcast on a federal level. And that's sort of the idea that Elon has behind him, and Vivek have behind this. That's just my personal take.
No, I think you're right on that. And thanks for bringing that to my attention, because that's something I'll look into now, because that will be, like you said, a path forward, or be able a glimpse of the future of what they've got planned to do here. So that could be very telling to go look at what Argentina, what they implemented and stuff.
And I've got a list here by Grok that you can check out, but just give you a quick little synopsis of what some of the stuff he got rid of. He got rid of the Argentina's tax collection agency. He dissolved that and replaced it by a new entity called, something in Spanish. This move aims to simplify the structure and reduce staffing by 34%. Right? And a new simplified tax code, one-page fill out, mail in, taxes done. And then Federal Intelligence Agency dissolved, previously known as the secret, the Secretary of Intelligence. This intelligence agency was dissolved, and its functions were reorganized under a new structure, directly reporting to the president. National Institute Against Discrimination, Xenophobia, and Racism dissolved. Ministry of Culture dissolved. Ministry of Women, Gender, and Diversity dissolved. State Media and Anti-Discrimination Group dissolved. In total, out of I think, what was it? I forget what they said. 500 or 300 governmental agencies. Javier Milei has eliminated 200 of those bodies since taking office in December 2023.
That is awesome. And everything that you said there that he's done is all things that I've heard either Trump or Elon or their Trump surrogates say that is things that he wants to implement here. And overall, I see them all as net positives. I think they're all good things. I think if you look at what they did there, that is going to be the blueprint for what they're going to do here.
Yeah, I think so too. And so for people who are concerned, it'd be a good thing to go through and look. I mean, now if
I'm going to write an article about it now that you brought it up.
Okay, yeah, I'll send you a link. Well, I guess it's Grok too, but I can copy and paste that to you if you want. But yeah, no, dude, it's I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's a much needed thing, especially with some of these bureaucracies. They're able to legislate with on their whim, and it's time for stuff like that to stop. And that's really disappointing about the TikTok ban. It is a huge blow to free speech. And yeah. What is your take on that?
why don't you look for, they just, you want to pull up, TikTok just issued a statement a couple minutes ago saying that they're going to shut down in 3 hours temporarily. I'm assuming until Trump is in office, because Trump already said that he is going to give a 90-day extension to TikTok to figure out what they're going to do. But since Biden is not giving them any, giving them any further information as far as, if they can continue or not, they are going to go dark in 3 hours. And they just issued a statement. If you look on the homepage, yeah, there you go. It's
Yep.
yeah. I'll go ahead and read it.
TikTok is a community full of creativity and passion, a home that brings joy to families and meaningful careers to creators. And we are building this platform for the long term. TikTok will be here for many years to come. We are shocked by the recent executive order, which was issued without any due process. For nearly a year, we have sought to engage with the U.S. government in good faith to provide a constructive solution to the concerns that have been expressed. What we encountered instead was that the administration paid no attention to facts, dictated terms of an agreement without going through standard legal process, and tried to insert itself into negotiations between private businesses. We made clear our intentions to work with the appropriate officials to devise a solution to benefit our users, creators, partners, employees, and the broader community in the United States. There has been and continues to be no due process or adherence to the law. The text of the decision makes it plain that there has been a reliance on unnamed reports with no citations. Fears that the app has quotation marks may be used for misinformation campaigns with no substantiation of fears, and concerns about the collection of data that is industry standard for thousands of mobile apps around the world. We have made it clear that TikTok has never shared user data with the Chinese government, nor censored content at its request. I find that hard to believe. In fact, we made our moderation guidelines and algorithm source code available in our Transparency Center, which is a level of accountability no peer company has committed to. We even expressed our willingness to pursue a full sale of the U.S. business to an American company. This executive order risks undermining global business trust in the United States, commitment to the rule of law, which has served as a magnet for investment and spurred decades of American economic growth. And it sets a dangerous precedent for the concept of free expression and open markets. We will pursue all remedies available to us in order to ensure that the rule of law is not discarded and that our company and our users are treated fairly, if not by the administration, then by the U.S. courts. We want the 100 million Americans who love our platform because it's your home for expression, entertainment, and connection to know. TikTok has never and will never waver in our commitment to you. We prioritize your safety, security, and the trust of our community always. As TikTok users, creators, partners, and family, you have the right to express your opinions to your elected representatives, including the White House. You have the right to be heard. That was August 7th, 2020. And now, 5 years later, that has been upheld.
That's not the one I'm. That's not the one I meant.
Not me. Hey, that was a killer reading from something 5 years ago. God damn it.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop you. You want to roll, but if you want to bring my screen up, I have the one that they just issued a couple minutes ago.
Oh, okay. Yep, here it is. God, that would have been so much easier to read.
Important update. We regret that a U.S. law banning TikTok will take effect on January 19th and force us to make our services temporarily available. We're working to restore our service in the U.S. as soon as possible, and we appreciate your support. Please stay tuned. So there's that. Looks like they are definitely going to go dark, which, like I said, it's a big time bummer because, I personally, I don't make any money off of X. Even though I'm monetized, I make about 25 to 40 bucks a month on here.
Well,
all of my income comes from TikTok.
And honestly, like that's why I always subscribe to the Value for Value Network. If you find value in our coverage and in the little pieces of tidbits that we find to provide just a little bit more clarity on your perspective, and vice versa. But if you find value in that, donate whatever you feel that value is worth. And that's why, at first when we started Phantom Facts, we were going to do Patreon and then, the typical podcast stuff. And then we realized, like, why do we want to hide any of our content behind a paywall? We're all about everyone knowing as much information freely as possible. That's the beauty of the internet, right? And if you find value in it, great. And if you don't, hey, man, there are millions of other people that do this better than us as well. So go ahead and find your lane. But when it comes to people that rely on TikTok, it's horrible because not only now are you getting rid of that, you have now destroyed the free market. And what is X going to pay you? What is YouTube going to give you?
TikTok is an ecosystem. It's not just an app. It's not just, some stupid, platform where people post their brain rot videos. TikTok is an ecosystem. There are so many people that is their livelihood. Like me, I sell my constitutional materials. I teach people their rights using TikTok. That's my vessel to sell the products that I have to teach people their rights. And that's how I earn a living. And there's not just that, but there's other businesses too that sell their products on TikTok that they're all of a sudden losing a huge chunk of their income. So, I mean, it affects so many people, not just the free speech aspect, but like I said, it's an ecosystem that this is going to put millions of people out of job, and it's going to hurt millions of companies financially.
Well, there's going to be, I think, a lot of paper pushers that are losing jobs in the next 10 years. So I might as well get used to it now. But, for those people to, like you said, for it really, once again, the U.S. government has decided to hurt small business. And the argument stands, like, we're okay with our government spying on us. Like it's coming out now. We all saw the Rogan Zuck interview, and he's saying they were getting calls daily telling them to ban memes, yelling and screaming, as he said, which I believe. I believe they were yelling and screaming. They're emotionally erratic people, and so you have a group of people that got full control of the media, and this started back with YouTube with Obama. Do you remember? Oh man, what was the 13 hours? Was that Libya? And they all said it was because of a YouTube video made in California about Muhammad. And they put that guy in jail. And it turns out that none of that was true. It was Benghazi. And from that point on, social media was bought and paid for by the American government. Twitter was compromised, YouTube, Google, all of our apps where we got information were censored. And people need to remember, we did not get real information in 2020, 2021. It wasn't until Elon came in and got X. Facebook was banning everyone left and right. It was a very.
I was banned multiple times on YouTube for speaking out on stuff like that.
And Yes, yes, and so when people talk about having a grim outlook, like there's a lot of positivity because despite this was their best attempt. They gave us all they had, and it could even last 2 years. They couldn't even get it to last 2 years. It fell apart. So and then they had to start a war in Ukraine in order to regain their losses. And meanwhile, all these corporations got filthy rich. These politicians got filthy rich, and we're left paying the bill. So hopefully there's some accountability to these people. Some of this stuff, Project, and I don't want to sound radical, but some of this stuff is treasonous. What they did, it's treasonous.
I 100% agree with you. If you've seen my post, I've said it. I call it for what it is. This is pure treason. A lot of the things they're doing.
They have meetings with military generals, to not listen to Trump. That's treason. Isn't that treason?
Absolutely. 100%.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting.
About the TikTok thing, like my argument with that is our government is stealing our data and spying on us way more than China is. And secondly, at this point, they in the hearings, the government tried to argue that Americans don't know that they're unknowingly giving their information to the Chinese. Like, no, Americans do know that. It's been publicized. Like, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't know that TikTok is owned by China and China is the one that is getting the data. But most Americans don't care because all these social media companies are stealing our data at this point. There really isn't anything we can do about it. The only reason they banned TikTok is because of power, or not power, but control. Because, all the other ones, they can control. TikTok is China, and so they can't control that one. That's the only reason they banned it.
Yeah, and their algorithm was kicking everybody's butt. I mean, YouTube Reels was getting spanked. Facebook was getting spanked. I mean, no one was keeping up with TikTok. 80-year-old dudes were using TikTok, man. Like everyone, it was a phenomenon, and well, you can't have that. You can't have that. And I remember growing up and talking about how free America was. And I'm in the construction industry, and everything that is on that site has to be approved by at least like 3 agencies. But so like any material has to go through 3 government agencies and boards, and people that can just make laws on a whim. I've seen the electrical industry require things that have, quadrupled the price of wiring a house. And some of that stuff, man, I think, if your community decides that's important, then that's how it should be. But why are we letting someone in an office make, huge decisions that affect the economy of people like us? And that's what it's disappointing to see once again, like the Supreme Court not accepting this as a First Amendment issue. That's essentially what it was. Anyway, sorry, I went on a little rant there.
Yeah. Sorry, I was muted. But the Supreme Court, I think this is one of the things that they screwed the pooch on big time. There's many rulings that they have really gotten wrong, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, is there what else would you like to discuss? I know you say you want to keep it around 2 hours. I mean, we're hitting we're at what, 4,200 views on YouTube? Is that correct? Am I reading that correct? 4,200 views. Is what I'm reading.
Okay.
And to everyone, once again, welcome to Talking Heads, Talking Head Podcast, Project Constitution. Let me
Thanks all for joining us.
Yes, we're very grateful. I mentioned this to you earlier, and it's completely up to you. But like, I don't have to work tomorrow. Do you want me to open up the phone lines to see if people want to call in? We can talk for a little bit longer. If we get people, we get people. If we don't, we can wrap it up.
We can do another one tomorrow. Sure, I'm down with that.
Open up the phone lines. See.
Yep.
This. All right. So what I tell you what I'll do, guys, is
do that. If you have a
in the comments, look in the comments here. If you're watching on YouTube, I believe it shows up on YouTube, on our Facebook. Not sure if it'll show up on X. But if you look in the comments there, you will see the link to join the show. I've just posted it there. So if you want to join the show, the link is in there. All we ask is you be respectful. Like, I love, I am from one specific area.
Not for today.
Oh, you want to do it?
Okay. Yeah, just to clarify, we're about our limit right now. We wanted to keep this around 2 hours, so we're going to start to wrap it up for today. But tomorrow we'll do another show tomorrow, and we'll do call in, let people call in or whatever.
All right, yeah. If people want to call in, I always love taking calls because I feel like this show is for the people, and if people have a concern or something, man, people are looking at things from all different angles, and we can miss it. So, all right, man.
What town hall?
Yeah.
This is like Elon said. This is the new town hall, and us talking and having dialogue, because we're missing that. There's so many people, because of social media now, are just they're missing that human connection. They're not getting in conversations. They're not getting in debates. They're not getting in discussions. And therefore, I think that's one of the reasons why we're so polarized now, that people, they don't know how to talk to each other civilly anymore.
Yeah. Well, and
that I would like to do my part to fix that.
And that's the beauty of this administration too, is to get Trump across the finish line. He had to reach out where no Republican, no rhino would dare to reach out. And he reached out to unlikely allies of people who were all dissatisfied with what they were seeing from different perspectives. And hopefully that helps him build America back more rounded, and the ability to have difficult emotional discussions without immediately insinuating that you are a Nazi or communist scum, which is where we're at right now. It's not good.
It really, that's what frustrates me the most. Not that these people disagree or they don't like Trump. It's the fact that you can't even have a discussion with them. Like, I joined that Blue Sky app when they created it, just to see what it was about or whatever. And just the fact that I joined, like, the people that commented were nasty. I didn't say anything nasty to them, but they just automatically commented, "Oh, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're blah blah." I'm like, oh my God. And you don't see Republicans doing that. If you go to a crowd of Republican protesters, they're going to be civilized and talk to you. And we've seen this. I forget the guy's name, but there's one guy on YouTube, a younger guy that goes with his mom, and they go. During the campaigning, they would go to a lot of these places, and they would talk to each side, and you could see it. The people that were Republicans, they were willing to have the difficult conversations. And you go to the Democrat protests, and they were violent. They were screaming, hollering profanities, calling them Nazi. I mean, it's completely total opposites.
And I want to emphasize too, because we can get real dangerous here real fast by labeling people by their party. There are people within these parties that act this way. You know what I mean? But there are, as Trump would say, a lot of good people on each side. And they have endured a mass amount of propaganda. And when I say that, I'm not just saying like manipulation. I'm talking about fear, trauma-based manipulation. They close down people's livelihoods. They let people die in hospitals without their family there. This is a type of post-traumatic stress disorder on a national level that these people went through. And some of these people have only, they have to believe they did the right thing, and they're slowly starting to realize that maybe they've been lied to. And if we can talk to these people with respect and realize that they are also Americans that succumbed to propaganda, and people can snap out of that too. And so I always believe in seeing the best in people, and I think grouping them in to the into a group where there's definite radicals, there's the far left has radical people that are horrible human beings, but not everyone should be lumped into that.
Here's my thing. I agree with you, by the way. The how I see it is most Americans are in the middle, like us. They're fairly based in the middle. But the problem is the ones that the radicals are the ones that are most vocal, and they're the ones that are most active. Because
it used to be, and I think it's changed now. And what worries me is people are going to think, oh,
it's changed.
You don't think that the moderate voice has started to really come out?
I think no, I agree with you on that. I'm just saying I think that the people that are still most vocal are the radical ones. That's the problem. Like, how do you people are starting to wake up and see that everything has been a lie, and they're in a big giant, shitstorm of propaganda, but they're not. Most people aren't to the point of doing anything. They're like, "Oh, it's not my problem." It just like the woman that was burned alive on the subway by that freaking illegal or whatever. All those people standing around, the cop, everything. Nobody did anything. You're like, "Oh, it's not my problem. Let somebody else deal with it."
It was two teenagers that tracked down that person. It was two kids that helped the cops find that person after he was allowed to escape. You know what I mean? Like, that's...
Yeah, but my point though is we have to figure out a way. I don't know how to do that, but we have to figure out a way to get the majority to start being active. The majority to wake up and realize that nothing is going to get done unless you are standing up and willing to do it. The only way we have power is in numbers.
Yeah.
We have to be one, and that doesn't, like you said, it's not a Republican Democrat thing. We all have to come together, and I don't know how to make that happen to get people to wake up to work towards that.
Well, it's not an overnight thing. It's not like someone watches this show and then is like, "Oh my God," you're
I
right.
wish it was that easy.
It's not that way though, and it's a day by day by day by day. It's essentially the same process as coming healthy again. It happens one day. 3 years from now, you look back and you go, "Oh my God," that was horrible. And so I think with what shows like this and X are doing, right? We get information, but what what my personal experience is, and I have a wide swath of people to choose from that I interact with on a daily basis from all over the country. And the things you hear echo through. Like, for example, the other day, everyone was talking about, what was it? The red dye 40. Was that what it is? Red dye 4 or 40 or whatever it is that got banned 40 years after it was banned in makeup. Now, I thought, well, that's a fun little, tidbit of information. I have, people that are in their early 20s that were talking about it without me bringing it up. I had people in their late 40s talking about it. People are talking to each other, and there is a slow awakening of, oh, how is that Europe has banned all these chemicals? Maybe that is why I feel so, disgusting all the time. All of those things are starting to play a factor into people. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. Things like that are slowly awakening people, and what all we can do is just continue to whisper, continue to do our little part. We got 4,500 people on the chat right now, and all of them, they go and they hopefully hear one thing. They're like, oh, this is interesting. Tell one person, and it's crazy how quickly it continues on. So there should be hope, Project. You should have hope. There's significant changes from the time I was, in the kid in the 90s to what I see going on now in the United States.
No, I agree with you, and I do have hope. Yeah, I agree with you. We are, from where we were, 8 years ago or 12 years ago, whatever. We are, leaps and bounds more awoken or woke or whatever you want to call it, from where we were then. There are so many people now that are speaking up and seeing the lies, and they're tired of it. It's just like, yeah, at what point do they get active though? What point do they start to engage? Because there is a time limit on that, because if you don't, like, we were very close. If Trump didn't win, we're very close to potentially losing our Constitution, losing our republic, and everything that our country was founded on. So if you wait too long to wake up, then there's a point of no return. There is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think
that's what scares me.
And it should, but there should be some hope. There should be some hope because it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Absolutely.
And those guys now, they do have to regroup. They have to figure out a new plan to take over the world back in their cages. But we should take a moment to be happy that it didn't get to that point. And now it's not over. It's just begun. And the way you do that is by shows like
doing
us.
What we're doing now.
Yes, shows like you. Yeah, go to Project Constitution on X. Read his well thought out articles. Do a little bit of your own research. Do a little bit more than just clicking on a article from the Daily Sun.
Don't just take my word for it. Take what I say, but then go do your own research. Fact check me. Read your own things. Make up your own opinion. Don't just take the opinion of people that you see online. Actually use your brain and form your own opinion.
And talk to people. That's the most important thing you can do. That's our podcast is Phantom Fact Society, a podcast for the curious mind. The moment you feel everything, or you there is no budging on something, you're in the wrong. You should always be trying to develop yourself, reestablishing yourself, and trying to dig deeper than the surface value. Yeah, because you don't know. I'll give you an example. We stumbled across this story years ago. It's my favorite example to show about how important it is to talk to people. We stumbled across a story online about cat litter being proposed to be put into public schools for kids that identified as furries. Did you hear about this project years ago?
No, are you serious? That wasn't.
No.
That's not a joke.
Years ago, this was 2022, right? And I think it was in Virginia that this first, and so I saw this article. And I thought, of course, we were Phantom Fact Society, so we had to cover it because that is just great. That's just great.
Yeah, for real.
Who's going to clean it? The janitor? How does that work? Does he have a shovel with slots? A lot of questions. So anyway, and we sort of played it off. And as I worked with people from different trades, I would tell them this story because I thought it was ridiculous. But I also wanted to know some of these guys had kids in schools. And in that time, I moved to a small town, middle of nowhere, South Dakota. Red Republican, South Dakota, land of the free, South Dakota. And I was telling these guys about it, and they all laughed at me. Said it, it was crazy. No way. And the next day, the owner of the company came to me and he goes, I had dinner with the school administrator in a town of 2,300. And I told him about your story. And his face turned red and he said, well, yeah, they are going to vote on that here, but it's not going to pass. So then I started asking around all these other small towns in the middle of nowhere, Armpit Alley, Flyover State. And every single town had this vote. Every single town had this vote at their school board. So by talking to people, we uncovered a whole mass movement that was being propagated somehow through the federal government. And the only way you find stuff like that out is just communicating it with people. Have a discussion. Intrigue their mind. Let them go and do a little research.
100%. That's why, the Talking Heads podcast, that's why talking is at the top right there. Talking. It's all about talking. Having dialogue with thy brother and thy sisters. You're all brothers and sisters, and whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether, you're a Muslim or a Christian or whatever. Like, I love all you. I love every single one of you guys. And we all need to remember that. We all need to remember that we are one race. We're all human, and we're all working for the same things in the long run.
Amen.
And with that, I think we'll end it there.
All right, buddy. Well, great show. Thanks for having me on. A great honor to be on your show. And anytime
follow, everybody can follow Phantom Society, Corey Phantom Society. He is on X, and he's also on YouTube, and I think he got TikTok too, but
TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go to our audios library on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to. We have 155 episodes on there, and a lot of great background research that me and the guys did over the years. So I hope you guys find something you like over there.
He's a researcher like me, so there's a lot of good information. You will love his show. You'll love what he does. Definitely go check him out. Like I said, support your independent creators like us. If you like what we do, throw us a couple bucks. He's got ways. He said DM him if you want to send him a couple bucks. My pay links are listed in the description of my live stream if you want to help me out. But just the big thing is just talk and communicate and be civil about it as well. No screaming, just
and
everybody needs to have civilized dialogue.
And that includes, like, if you guys find clips or video clips, share it with us on our accounts. We love to see, different stuff that's going on in your local community as well. So, this is all about communication. So, go to our Twitter pages or wherever you like your social media and share whatever's going on in your local area that's going on. Because
I try to use my I try to use my platform to help people. Like if you guys got a story that that's important, I'll help you get it out. That's one thing is I try to always pay it forward. If people that don't have as much reach as I do, I want them to have a voice as well. And I think that's important. And that's pretty much why I'm here. That's what my goal is this is like the people's platform. This is not my show. This is all of your show. This is, for everybody. I want to get all the information together in one place for everybody.
Can I plug my show coming up Wednesday real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah, man.
So we've got Richard Gage, the founder of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, which was founded several years ago, coming on our show. He's been on our show before. You can find an episode, The Truth About 9/11. But Richard is a architect himself of skyscrapers out of San Francisco, and he's led the battle for many years on finding out the truth about 9/11. And there has been a lot of interesting State Department talk about those. I believe it's 9 pages being released. The first day Kash Patel is in office, and we're going to have him on the 22nd. So please join us. We're going to be accepting phone calls. If people have questions they want to ask Richard, you're more than welcome to. But this guy is full of knowledge about what I believe is one of the dirtiest tricks played on the American public. All right. Thank you, brother.
That is a show you're not going to want to miss. If you want to get the real truth of 9/11 and not the bullcrap psyop that they feed you, you're going to want to listen to his show.
I mean, this guy brings purchase orders made from the companies for Pillar 76 in the construction of, that's how detailed. This is an engineer and architects talking, so they're going to have 30 million minuscule details that all support their argument. And you've got a coalition of 5,000 people to get together and say the collapse of this skyscraper is unprecedented. So, please, if you get a chance, tune in on that show.
Absolutely. And with that, I guess we'll call it
with some Jim Croce before we end the show. End out with a nice little musical note.
Yeah, sure. We like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll just look for us. We haven't picked a time yet, but we'll probably do it sometime in the afternoon or evening, like today as well. But we'll figure it out. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to check with the missus, the keeper of my soul, to make sure that she does not feel left behind. But yes, I think we do need to at some point have call-ins. Just because we want to hear
boss man.
Yes, you know it.
But anyway, so we'll be here tomorrow at some point having another show. So keep an eye out for us, and we'll see you guys all then.